Hey, Happy New Year to everyone out there. How you guys doing? Hopefully this year will be a great year for everyone. I know I'm going to do my best to make it a great year for me. I'm going to start off by getting rid of some of the negative energies around me and incorporate more positive energies and ideologies into my life. Yes, why is cancer on the rise? I say let's go ahead and start this year off with a bang. Let's get right to it. Is it the air? Is it the water? Is it the food? Or is it the poisons they call medicine? Or is it a combination of them all? Let's take a look, shall we? And remember, I'm just scratching the surface. I urge you to do your own research on the topic. And I just want to reiterate that there were some things I left out of the video because it would have been way too long, so I might do a follow-up to this video. It depends on how much time I have at some point. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, according to this article, cancer research in the UK. Why are cancer rates increasing? 1 in 2 people will get cancer at some point in their lives. Now, think about that for a second. That's astonishing. It would have been bad if they said 1 in 4. They said 1 in 2, which means half of the population would get cancer. So I'll put it to you in terms like this. Imagine you and a friend or you and your loved one walking down the street. One of you guys are going to hear the words at some point in your lives, "You have cancer." That's astonishing. But the article goes on and says, this isn't to say that we're not making progress. More people are beating cancer today than ever before. Survival has doubled in the past 40 years, and half of the people diagnosed with will survive their cancer for more than 10 years. More than 10 years? Is that a great thing? How about surviving, period? More than 10 years. That's not too promising to me. I like to survive, period. Don't put a timeline on my survival. Air pollution, radon, and cancer. Although exposure to air pollutant can be linked to cancer, for a person in the UK, the risk is fairly low. Well, what about people in the US? Which, I mean, we have to think about this. There's pollution. They say, well, we can all help reduce pollution by creating less. Well, it's easier said than done because the infrastructure in the US doesn't really allow for you to be doing much cycling in certain states, and walking around in much states because you don't have the proper infrastructure there. So either you use public transportation or you have your own car. I mean, that's a reality. So, I mean, like I said, it's easier said than done. So you might be asking yourself, what is radon? Radon is a radioactive gas released from the normal decay of the elements uranium, thorium, and radium in rocks and soil. It is an invisible, odorless, tasteless gas that seeps up through the ground and diffuses into the air. In a few areas, depending on the local geology, radon diffuses into the groundwater, which is very interesting, and can be released into the air when the water is used. Radon gas usually exists at very low levels outdoors. However, in areas without adequate ventilation, such as underground mines, radon can accumulate to levels that substantially increase the risk of lung cancer. Very interesting. So, how is the general population exposed to radon? Radon is present in nearly all air. Very interesting. Everyone breathes in radon every day, usually at very low levels. Usually is a key word. However, people who inhale high levels of radon are at an increased risk for developing lung cancer, which is stated before. Radon can enter homes through cracks in the floors, walls, or foundation and collect indoors. It can also be released from building materials or from water obtained from wells that contain radon. Radon levels can be higher in homes that are well insulated. But it also goes on to say that basements and first floors typically have the highest radon levels because of their closeness to the ground, which would make sense. How does radon cause cancer? Now that's the point I know probably most of y'all want to know. Radon decays quickly, giving off tiny radioactive particles. That's the key. When inhaled, these radioactive particles can damage the cells that line the lung. Long-term exposure to radon can lead to lung cancer, the only cancer proven to be associated with inhaling radon. They also go on to say that there has been a suggestion of increased risk of leukemia associated with radon exposure in adults and children. However, the evidence is not conclusive. How many people develop lung cancer because of exposure to radon? Cigarette smoking is the most common cause of lung cancer. Radon represents a far smaller risk for this disease, but is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. Scientists estimate that 15,000 to 22,000 lung cancer deaths in the United States each year are related to radon. That's amazing. So if it's that small of a number, how many people actually die each year from cigarette smoking is a question you should ask yourself. For those of you that want to smoke, I'm going to cover that more later on in the video. Hey, again, the choices are yours. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. Air pollutants' impact on cancer is grossly underestimated. Carcinogens are all around us, so scientists are broadening their ideas of environmental risks. Well, carcinogens, for those of you who don't know, are roughly cancer-causing agents. So, here we go again. Air pollutants. Now, let's read this article just a little bit. You can read the rest yourself. You know how we do it. No, this is an article. I'm not sure when it's dated, but the information is still solid. In November last year, an 8-year-old girl became China's youngest person to get lung cancer. So I want you to think about that for a second. An 8-year-old girl. This story is kind of heart-wrenching to me because I have an 8-year-old girl as well, so I couldn't imagine my 8-year-old with lung cancer. I mean, who would want that for a child to have to go through that type of ordeal? The cause, according to her doctor, was fine particulate matter that accumulated in her lungs and led to malignant changes in her cells. Air pollution has been enveloping Chinese cities in smog, periodically closing schools and businesses and drastically reducing visibility. See, I know many of you probably thinking, well, that's China. We don't live in China. We live in America, or we live in Europe or Australia, whatever the case is. But corporations all do the same thing. They put profit before people. Okay? And this is really, really sad that at a young age, this is what she has to go through. Now let's get into some numbers now. The IARC has evaluated a total of 970 natural and artificial agents and identified 464 as having some level of carcinogenity to humans. With some overlap, a catalog by the United States National Toxicological Program lists 240 substances as known or reasonable anticipated human carcinogens. Some cancer-causing agents occur naturally, such as aflatoxin, poison compounds produced by moles that grow in nuts, seeds, and legumes. Others are man-made, such as ionizing radiation from medical imaging and various commercial chemicals. Yet, of the now this is very, very, very important. Yet of the 80,000 chemicals in commerce, only a tiny fraction has been tested for its carcinogenicity. Now, only a tiny fraction out of 80,000 chemicals. That's amazing. The proportion of cancer attributable to the environmental carcinogen is subject to debate. The most widely cited estimate made in 1981, that's a long time ago, attributes 2% of U.S. cancer deaths to pollution and 4% to occupational exposure. Those figures are dwarfed by the numbers for smoking and diet. Again, those of you that want to smoke, you go ahead and do what you want to do. I am not telling you what to do and what not to do. Which claim 30% and 35% of the burden, respectively. The article goes on to say that the true burden of environmental induced cancers has been grossly underestimated, and a global estimate by the World Health Organization is much higher. 19% of the world's cancers and 1.3 million deaths annually are attributed to environmental and occupational factors. By now, we should all know the term fracking. Well, did you know fracking may release cancer-causing air pollution? Of course, they don't tell you that part. But let's move on to this next article, shall we? Talk about benzene. Benzene and cancer risk. What is benzene? Benzene is a colorless, flammable liquid with a sweet odor. It evaporates quickly when exposed to air. Benzene is formed from natural processes such as volcanoes and forest fires. But most exposure to benzene results from human activities. Benzene is among the 20 most widely used chemicals in the United States, and that's a fact. You can find benzene in your toothpaste, your mouthwash, your soaps, your shampoos, your creams, your food, your sodas. Oh yeah, it's in everything. It's even in your baby products. Yes, that's true. It's a fact. You don't have to take my word for it. I urge you right now, stop this video and go look at your products you use, and I guarantee you will find benzene in something that you use. It is used mainly as a starting material in making other chemicals, including plastic, lubricants, rubbers, dyes, deodorants, drugs, and pesticides. What a long list. In the past, it is also commonly used as an industrial solvent. It's a substance that can actually dissolve or extract other substances, and as a gasoline additive. But these uses have been greatly reduced in the recent decades. Benzene is also a natural part of crude oil and gasoline, and therefore motor vehicle exhaust, as well as cigarette smoke. Leukemia and benzene. And for those of you who don't know, leukemia is blood cancer. Excessive exposure to benzene has been known for more than a century to damage the bone marrow. So if they have this information for over a century, why are they not acting on it? You see, this problem here affects us all, regardless of your race, your sexuality, your wealth, your religious beliefs. It doesn't care. Cancer doesn't care about any of that stuff, and the corporations don't care about any of that stuff either. So a lot of you guys have this notion that you still have this mentality is us and them. That's a wrong notion, because that's not going to get you anywhere, to be honest with you, because all of us are being affected by this, and I'll show you more throughout the video. And by the end of the video, I'll share a couple personal stories with you also, why I'm actually doing this particular video. I was going to do it 2 years ago, but I wasn't mentally ready or spiritually ready to actually make this video, so I think I'm able to do it now. So, but behind what you're seeing here is a list of products that contain benzene. So if you believe, like I say, this us and them philosophy, we're all being affected by it. And this benzene and many other chemicals I'll show you along the way in this video is actually causing us to have a lot of health effects. Cancer being one of them. Different types of cancer. So if we don't figure out a way how we're going to solve this problem together, you can forget that ideology that some of you guys hold fast to. Again, look at the list of products. I mean, we can try our best to avoid them, but I mean, benzene is almost in everything you use, even in your food. So, I mean, good luck trying to avoid it. It's extremely hard to avoid these chemicals. Like I said, this is not just the only one. I mean, it is in a lot of products that contain benzene. Okay, now going back to the fracking article. This time we're going to look at formaldehyde. What is formaldehyde? Formaldehyde is a colorless, flammable, strong-smelling chemical that is used in building materials and to produce many household products. It is used in presswood products such as particle boards, plywood, and fiberboard, glues and adhesive, permanent press materials, paper products, coating, and certain installation materials. In addition, formaldehyde is commonly used as an industrial fungicide, germicide, and disinfectant, and as a preservative in mortuaries. Yes, this is what they put into the dead bodies, and medical laboratories. Formaldehyde also occurs naturally in the environment. It is produced in small amounts by most living organisms as part of normal metabolic process. Can formaldehyde cause cancer? Although the short-term health effects of formaldehyde exposure are well known, less is known about the potential long-term health effects. In 1980, laboratory studies showed that exposure to formaldehyde could cause nasal cancer in rats. This finding raised the question of whether formaldehyde exposure also causes cancer in humans. In 1987, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, classified formaldehyde as a portable human carcinogen under conditions of usual usually higher or prolonged exposure. Since that time, some studies of humans have suggested that formaldehyde exposure is associated with certain types of cancers. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, classifies formaldehyde as a human carcinogen. In 2011, the National Toxicology Program, an interagency program of the Department of Health and Human Services, named formaldehyde as a known human carcinogen. There you go. So they named it as a carcinogen, which means it's a cancer-causing agent. Okay, now back to that fracking article again. While fracking may release cancer-causing chemicals into the air, a community science study has found residents trained to take air quality samples record high levels of benzene, hydrogen sulfate, and formaldehyde near shale gas extraction sites in the U.S. While based on a small number of samples, the study published in the Environmental Health adds a new site of potential health threats to fracking. So they don't tell you all that stuff when it comes to frack. Let's just drill, get the natural gas, but I always have a trade-off. But like I said before, when it comes to corporation, it's always profit over the people. That's just the way it is. I mean, in a capitalist society, it's always going to be profit over people. They'll deal with the people later on. Matter of fact, in most cases, they actually have money set aside for the actual lawsuits. So, I mean, the evidence is there. I saw a couple of articles, and it was dated back, well, they were doing some research from back in the early 1900s, and the cases of cancer back then was 1 in 30. Today it's 1 in 2. So we've gotten to the point where it's not if you're going to get cancer, it's when you're going to get cancer. Think about it. Well, alright, let's get started with the water. Drinking water supplies for 2/3 of America are contaminated with a carcinogenic chemical made notorious by the film Erin Brockovich, which was based on real-life poisoning of tap water in a Californian desert town. But there are no national regulations for the compound, and the chemical industry is trying to keep it that way. The Environmental Working Group, the EWG, released analysis Tuesday for more than 60,000 tap water tests conducted nationwide, finding that chromium-6 and hexavant chromium is in the tap water of more than 218 million Americans. That's 2/3 of the U.S. being served water with chromium-6 or above the level of California state scientists considered safe. The California Public Health Goal allows a chromium-6 level expected to cause no more than, well, that's kind of strange. If you know it causes cancer, why are you allowing it to be in the water if you know it causes cancer? That doesn't make sense. They say chromium is a natural occurring element, but it can also be manufactured. The two main types of chromium-3 are essential human nutrients considered to be the mostly harmless, and chromium-6, which has long been known to cause lung cancer when airborne particles are inhaled. Recent science also showed that when ingested, it can cause stomach cancer. So this stuff is lethal. So I mean, why are they putting it in the water if it's so lethal? If it hits the air, it can get lung cancer. And if you ingest, you can get actually stomach cancer. Like I said before, it's always profit over people. Now, chromium-6 is used in chrome plating. It's also used in wood and leather treatments, dyes and pigments, and the water in cooling towers of electrical power plants. It's always money, money, money. Profit over the people. That's capitalism for you. I went ahead and found the information on another site just in case you didn't believe the last article. So I found it on CNN. And I know some of you guys gonna say that's the mainstream media. I don't want to hear anything they got to say. Yes, but don't totally disregard the mainstream media. A lot of times they have good information on their site, and if you search their site yourself, you would find it for yourself. But I know some of us totally anything to do with mainstream, we don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? I understand. I understand. It all depends on your level of your awakening that you're at. So I understand. But I would just urge you not to completely cut it out, because you can find a lot of good information because they got a lot more resources than the average person. So some of the reporters that actually work for these companies, they actually write stories, and sometimes they don't actually make it to the air, but they still write the story, so it's still on their website, so you can still find that information buried in their website. So I'm just saying I wouldn't totally disregard it. But according to CNN's website, they're also letting you know that Oklahoma, Arizona, and California had the highest levels statewide of the chemical. So that's letting you know that those three particular states had ridiculously high levels of this stuff. And any amount of this chemical in the drinking water is lethal. I mean, in my opinion, if it causes cancer, why would you want to have it in the drinking water? I'm not saying somebody actually pour it in the drinking water. I'm saying that it's actually seeped in there from industrial purposes, or whether it be a factory or something, it kind of actually seeped into the drinking supply. So, what I'm saying, if you know something causes cancer, it should not be anywhere in anybody's drinking water at all, period, at no level. That's my opinion, at no level at all. I mean, that's like somebody saying, hey, take a small dose of this arsenic. Well, I mean, we all know arsenic can kill you. I don't want to take it as a small dose or a high dose. I don't want no dose of arsenic. And by no means is this the only chemical you have to worry about in your drinking water, or the only thing, period, you have to worry about in your drinking water. There are many other chemicals and other things you have to worry about in your drinking water. I did not cover it here because of time constraints, and I'll be here all night if I was to cover it all. I mean, cover it all in one video. Like I said before, I might do a follow-up video. It depends. I'm one person, so I have a lot of stuff on my plate. But I urge you to actually do your own research on this particular topic of cancer. I mean, really do your research. There's a reason why they have this increase in cancer, where it's now 1 in 2 people. And I don't think some of y'all can really wrap your mind around that. 1 in 2 people, that's half the population. That's insane. But there's a reason for it. There's a reason. And later on in the video, I know I'm going to get to a point where some people are going to hate me and ask me, well, what are we supposed to eat? What are we supposed to drink? What are we supposed to do? What? I mean, look, I don't have the answers, okay? I'm just providing information. Only thing I can say is do the best you can do, because it's going to be extremely hard to avoid everything that has chemicals that can cause cancer. I mean, it's just the way it is, because we the people, all the people, regardless of race or sexuality or religion or whatever else you want to have to put yourself in a category. Like I said before, these corporations, they don't really care about any of that stuff. That's used to divide the people, divide and conquer. If we're divided, we can't pay attention to what's actually going on. This problem ails us all. But I know some of us can go in our own camp and say, well, it's going to be this one particular set of people that's doing it. No, it's not one particular set of people. Okay, let's just get that out of your mind. But I know some of us are going to have our own ideologies, and I understand that, and I respect that. Cool, no problem. Just know I don't follow that type of ideology. It doesn't make sense, because I see a bigger picture, and I'm going to explain that later on in the video as well. But what I wanted to touch on real quick here, though, is it said, meanwhile, if your drinking water contains chromium-6, the best way to filter it out is with reverse osmosis combined with a superior carbon filter. Bottled water is not a solution, since many types of bottled water are simply repackaged tap water, which is true. So I'm telling you, if you have water that contains chromium-6, is the best way to do is actually use a reverse osmosis system. But also, a lot of times when we use a reverse osmosis system, it might be only on the drinking water you're using in the kitchen for your tap water. But what about your skin? It's just one thing we also, I buy water also, and I know it's not a protection. I just buy water because I can't stand the way tap water tastes. It tastes nasty to me, period. But what about your skin? We completely neglect the skin, not realizing the skin is the largest organ on the human body. It encompasses from your head down to your toes. Do you want chromium-6 going over your skin? Don't you think it's going to leach into the skin, go into the bloodstream? I know we don't think about. I mean, it's amazing when I see people put stuff on their skin, on their bodies, as if they forget that the skin is a living and breathing organism. I don't. Nevertheless, this is not what this video is about. I urge you to do your own research. Your own research on this particular topic, please. So moving on to the next topic. This is the one I'm gonna get in trouble for. Yes, here we go. I can hear it already. What are we supposed to eat? I can't eat this. What am I supposed to do? What are you asking me for? If something is toxic to you, why don't you figure out what you need to do? What are you asking me for? But let's get started with this. Recent studies find Monsanto's BT corn toxic to humans. More and more independent research and studies are indicating that BT corn and GMO crops resistant to Monsanto best-selling herbicide Roundup are toxic to both the environment and humans' health. Well, that's no surprise anybody studied GMO, right? But just a side note, it was really hard for me to find any products that didn't contain GMO corns. You would be surprised how many products contain GMO corn. I could see why they don't want to label it in the United States, because you go in the store and you have nothing to buy. It'd be like, wow, everything contains some type of GMO corn, GMO soy, something that's genetically modified. Okay, although biotech companies and their financial beneficiaries have shamefully been spending millions of dollars lobbying to hide and promote GMOs under the so-called label of natural, more and more independent researchers, scientists, and health advocates are warning the public about the hidden dangers of GMOs and chemicals used in planting GE crops. So you gotta wonder, well, why do they want to keep it a secret? Well, it's obvious. Now, it says in another study published in the Journal of American Science, the researchers found clear signs of damage to livers, kidneys, and small intestines of rats that were fed Monsanto BT corn. Now, I know some of you guys say, well, we don't have the same physiology of rats. I'm well aware of that. But let me ask you a question. If something can cause damage in the kidneys of a rat and the liver and so forth of rats, would you want to eat it? That's just a question. Don't get mad at me. Don't cuss me out. Well, you can cuss me out. It won't do you no good anyway. But I'm just saying, if it causing rats to have this problem, I know we have different physiology. Would you want to eat it? Just a question. The researchers also found out that the BT corn has negative effect on the foundations of sperm cells and male fertility. Well, why does that sound familiar? They're always talking about reducing the population. The population is getting to be too big. Y'all better start thinking about a lot of different stuff other than just this so-called race versus race, because the problem is a lot bigger than you think it is. Moving on. Now here's the good stuff now. Another study published in the Journal of Applied Toxicology revealed that Monsanto BT corn is toxic to humans even at small exposure. Interesting. These results are pretty worrying. Risk assessment requirements for genetically engineered plants and pesticides need to be rigidly enforced. In the light of these findings, we think that the commercialization of these plants is not in accordance with EU regulations. Well, I know for sure in America they don't really care about any regulation, because that's why they won't even label it. At least in Europe and other parts of the world they would label it, but in America they spend millions of dollars lobbying to make sure that doesn't happen. Of course, profit over the people. You're going to hear me say that a lot of times, because that's what it is. Profit over the people. That's a reality. Capitalism. Fact or myth? Do genetically modified foods cause cancer, lung damage, and birth defects? Well, this is a fact. In order to make crops more resistant to pests, scientists insert a special gene called Bt toxin. That's funny. Derived from I ain't even gonna go there. Bacteria. into corn and cotton plants. The toxin attacks the stomach lining of nibbling insects, killing the pests within a couple of days of ingestion. That's crazy, man. More than 65% of the U.S. corn crops contain this special gene that produces the insecticide. This says more than 65%, so more than half. So I was correct. So good luck trying to find any product that contains corn that is not genetically modified. It's not 100%, but it's 65%. Another alarming fact, 80% of the processed food items in your local supermarket contain genetically modified ingredients. This means that if you are in the United States, or if you're a United States resident, you are undoubtedly eating genetically modified foods. Like I said in a video I made a couple months or a long time ago, I eat genetically modified foods not because I want to. I don't eat processed food, but the stuff is not labeled. So they're telling you now 80%. 80%. These genetically modified foods have been sneaking into our diet since 1995. So it didn't just start happening. 1995. All right. When the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, analyzed the first genetically engineered plant, corn, today 90% of several U.S. crops are grown with genetically engineered seed. What? Where's the outrage? You see, y'all only focus on this thing about police brutality, and you don't even see the bigger picture. I don't see nobody protesting this, or none of you guys. This is 90% of the 90% of several U.S. crops are grown with genetically engineered seed. 90%. And you're not upset? Ain't nobody raising Cain about it. That's that's not that don't fit the MO, right? Because they don't have the racist cop, right? Nobody wants to talk about that, right? Man, can't y'all see, man? Drop this stupid concept. Us versus them, and is one side, and we're gonna have this big race war. We are all being affected by what's going on. This is a classic strategy, divide and conquer. Divided, we cannot see the bigger picture. 90% of our food is genetically modified, and you guys ain't seen this. So even if you live in the United States and you think you're not eating GMOs, a good chance you are. So we're gonna have to go back to the land and have to farm, for those that can farm, or find a trusted seller. This is a reality. They're telling you even a little portion of this Bt toxin is lethal. It's toxic to the human body. I'm sorry. I mean, why would you want to take a chance with it? But I mean, it's your life. You can do what you want to do. It's up to you. I'm showing you here the information. And it's showing you here also that this particular Bt corn, it says the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, AEM, states several animal studies indicate serious health risks associated with genetically modified foods. These health risks include infertility, which means, they're trying to cut down the population, lung damage, cancer, immune impairment, vitamin deficient, premature aging, so you can see it in a lot of us, damaged insulin regulation, liver, kidney, heart, and spleen dysfunction, higher rate of mortality, which means people are dying, or the animals are dying in this particular case. But I know you might want to say, well, I'm not an animal, I'm a human. Their physiology is totally different. Okay, I get that, I get it. But let me ask you a question, the same question again. If you know it's doing this to animals, why would you want to chance it on you being the human? I'm not worried about the corporations, because they're going to do what they got to do for money. But why would you want to eat it? Why would we not protest as a unit, collectively, all of us, say, no, we don't want to take that chance? But we have better things to do, fuss at each other over petty differences. Can we come together on what we have in common, like this particular problem here? There's something we have all in common. We all want to give our families the best food we can. But if this is the choice that we have, where it's total garbage, what do we have to look forward to? Infertility, lung damage, cancer, vitamin deficient, premature aging. Then you wonder why we have so many health problems and the rates of death in this country. Like I said, when I get to the end of the video, you'll see what I'm talking about when you look at homicide. Because since y'all want to focus only on homicides, by the time I get to the end of the video, you'll see that homicides is minuscule when you compare to what's really killing most people in America. But I'll say that for the end though. The truth about cancer: educate, expose, eradicate. Soy, corn, cotton, sugar beets, and alfalfa. Consider how many foods you eat that contain these crops. Farmers spread the crops, killing the weeds, keeping the GMO Roundup Ready crops safe. Your safety isn't their problem. Welcome to commercial agriculture. Possible cancer-causing additive found in pizza crust, bread, and crackers. I know many of you are probably scratching your head now. What additive could that be? Well, it's going to be potassium bromate. Now, I know some of y'all probably can go into your pantries and cupboards and start looking at all your ingredients and stuff, and that's something you should have been doing from the beginning. But nevertheless, I'm not telling you to throw out all your stuff. Like I said, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just giving you the information. What you do is up to you. But the more I researched for this video, I said, man, they really done a number on us, because this is what I'm referring to when I say we're in a very perplexing quagmire. And many of us don't really research anything to really get any answers. So I'm really hoping this is going to help some of you guys out. So bear with me. Let's go. I'm not trying to be enemy. I'm not trying to dictate what you can and can't do. Just the information is there. Don't hate me for it. Don't tell me what you can eat and what you can't eat. And don't ask me. I'm sorry. Don't ask me that. You must decide for yourself what you want for you and your family. Nobody else can make that decision for you. Scores of common baked goods contain potassium bromate, a possible cancer-causing additive, according to a new analysis by the Environmental Working Group. The non-profit agency found the chemical in 86 breads and other baked goods, including such well-known products as Hormel Foods breakfast sandwiches, Weiss Kaiser rolls and French toast, and Goya turnover pastry dough. Potassium bromate is added to flour to firm up the dough, help it rise, and give the finished bread a fresh white color. However, it has been linked in animal studies to cancer and tumors. Research also has shown that it can damage genetic material in human liver and intestinal cells, causing breaks in DNA strands and chromosomal damage. Wait a minute, man. Breaks in the DNA strand? You talking about, well, wait a minute, what kind of stuff is this? You talking about mutations, and if it can cause breaks in your DNA strand. In 1982, researchers in Japan published the first series of studies showing that potassium bromate causes cancer in the thyroids, kidneys, and other body parts of rats and mice. I know some of you might be saying, I'm not a rat, I'm not a mouse. I know, but do you want to take that chance? As a result of these findings, countries around the world banned the additive, but the USA Food and Drug Administration held back, in part because of the amount of potassium bromate that remains in bread after baking should be negligible, less than 20 parts per billion. That's interesting. So other countries realize the dangers of this particular additive and they decide to ban it. But of course, the United States, where I guess capitalism reigns supreme, so where profit comes way before people, is the same reason why we can't get any type of labeling on GMO foods over here in America, because there's always profit before the people. So other countries are doing the right thing, but America said, no, we're gonna leave it right in there. Even though we know it caused cancer, but it's a small amount. So as long as they keep it to the small amount, we are okay. So they're rolling the dice with our lives. Just want you to think about that for a second. California is the only state to have taken any measure to warn residents of the dangers associated with this chemical, placing potassium bromate on its Proposition 65 list, which means that products that contain it must carry a cancer warning on their labels. However, no other regulatory agency has taken any action to regulate or remove this dangerous chemical from American grocery stores' shelves. Our nation's food additive review system fails in its mandate to keep Americans safe. Congress must overhaul this broken process in order to truly protect us from potentially cancer-causing chemicals such as potassium bromate, which I fully agree with them. If you know something causes cancer, why is it in the food? I don't care how small the percentage is. That's like me saying, you know what? I'm gonna give you some water, but I'm gonna put a small amount of arsenic in it, less than 20 parts per billion. Would you want to drink it? Or I'm gonna give you some food that contains rat poison, but it's gonna have a small trace. It's gonna be negligible. Would you want to eat it if it contained rat poison or any type of poison? The answer will be no, because you don't know the long-term effects it might have on your health. So why is it that they are well aware of this, but still do nothing about it? Then when you watch some of the oligarchs that have been around on the scene, these so-called world leaders, and you watch how old some of these people are, 70, 80, 90, 100. One guy's 101. Do your research and you find out who that is. See, my God, well, how are they able to live so long, but the average person is dropping down dead way before that at 60? Some of us in the 30s. I lost another classmate just 5 weeks ago, massive stroke. She wasn't even 40. I mean, don't we see the correlations? But I'll get to that more at the end of the video. And what you see in the background is a short list of some foods that's known to cause that has carcinogens in it. So let's go with hydrogenated oils, like vegetable oils, contains trans fat. The Mayo Clinic says it's considered to be the worst type of fat there is. It's known to cause cancer, heart disease, and immune system problems. Heart disease is another big one, and by the time we get to the end of the video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So that contains your French fries, your potato chips, all that stuff is generally cooked in that stuff. This part is very important, so listen up. In addition, foods heated above a certain temperature have high levels of acrylamide. According to the National Cancer Institute, acrylamide is found in cigarette smoke and industrial building material as well some food. Both French fries and potato chips were found to have higher levels of this chemical. Very important, okay? They don't tell you that when you're consuming this stuff, so that's very important to your health. Microwave popcorn. I know you're going to start to hate me now. There is more than just kernels in most microwave popcorn. It contains PFOA, which is a likely carcinogen, which means it causes cancer. But according to Dr. Andrew Wells, sets the record straight about microwave popcorn, explaining artificial butter contains another dangerous chemical that can damage the lungs when inhaled. In fact, a couple of years ago, a Colorado court awarded a man $7.2 million settlement for popcorn lung, which is a lung condition from inhaling too much microwave popcorns. I know y'all getting the knives out and you're getting your billy clubs and your bats and ready to beat me up, and hey, I am just providing the information. Please don't get mad at me. The information is there. It's been there. I mean, would you rather know or not know? It's up to you guys, though. Processed meats, bacons, lunch meat, hot dogs, sausages, and other processed meat have been shown to increase the risk of pancreatic cancer by 67%. A study by the University of Hawaii concluded more shocking statistics shared by the Organic Consumer Association reveal hot dogs commonly contain sodium nitrate, a cancer-causing ingredient the USDA has been trying to ban since the 1970s. Leukemia risk soared a staggering 700% with hot dog consumption. I'm going to let that one sit for a while. I'm going to move on to the next one. I know now you're going to want to really get your bats out and beat me up now or run me over with your car or something, because I'm going to talk about red meat. That's right. A brand new study confirms the belief that red meat increases cancer risk. An article from the San Diego Union Tribune detailing the study, a sugar molecule called NEU5GC becomes part of your own cell when it's consumed. Did I read that correctly? It becomes part of your own cell when you consume it? Your body then attacks it. resulting in inflammation and in higher cancer risk. Medscape reveals previous studies also show an increase in breast cancer among women who consume more red meat. That's interesting. I'm going to just sit there for a second. But they're telling you you don't have to cut out your red meat consumption. All you have to do is opt for grass-fed organic beef. Well, good luck trying to find that when you don't know if anything is labeled in the United States. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure you could find it at your more premium grocery retailers, but for the average Joe who's going to Walmart or Publix or Winn-Dixie or whatever store or Albertsons you have in your state, you're going to have a hard time trying to find something that's organic, grass-fed. But hey, I mean, I know you can order it online also. So I mean, if that's an option for you if you choose to with the red meat. I'm not telling you to stop eating red meat. So don't say I said stop eating red meat. I'm just providing the information, nothing more. The information is there. You do what you feel you have to do. Farm salmon. If you're avoiding processed meats and red meat, you might find yourself eating more salmon. Well, avoid the farm version of this fish because a study at the University of Albany found it is often full of cancer-causing contaminants such as pesticides, antibiotics, and PCBs, and even flame retardants in a fish. Flame retardants. Yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone. Moving on. Now, I know some of you love your soda. I'm not here to judge you, but refined sugar is dangerous because not only is it typically GMO because it's generally modified sugar beets, but it rapidly spikes insulin levels. The sugar actually feeds cancer cells. Fructose, the type of sugar found in soda, is a serious cancer culprit as well. It contains caramel color, a known carcinogen. I'm going to just stop right there. It contains caramel color, a known carcinogen. So good luck trying to find something in your house right now that doesn't contain fructose. I know right now y'all getting really hot on the collar, and I told y'all from before we got to this section that you guys will get mad at me, and like I said, it's not my fault. The information is there. A lot of us choose not to research this stuff. As you see, I'm not just having a blank screen and talking. I'm showing you the information right there. I'm also going to provide you some of the links for you to do your own research. Please don't stop with this video. I urge you to do your own independent research. Nothing is safe. You got the diet foods. They have one artificial sweetener, saccharin, was determined to cause cancer in lab rats. As the National Cancer Institute points out, as for food dyes and coloring, there are 3 widely used dyes: red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, are contaminated with known carcinogens. Yeah, don't get me started with aspartame. You're going to have to do your own research on aspartame. That one is a whole other video. So yes, if you eat any M&M's, Starbursts, or anything pretty much, dyes are in everything. Ketchups, it's even in some breads too. I mean, even in pickles. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I'll show you right now what I'm talking about. Okay, red dye number 40. Now this is the site I was referring to. It has a lot of information. It's linked in the description box. And you have to take a look at how many products contain red dye number 40. And keep in mind, they're only focusing on red dye number 40, not yellow dyes or green dyes, just red dye number 40. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to be quiet now. You can take a look at the list. I'll come back later on. And we're back. I had to cut the list short because I found some bonus material and I'm going to add in the video. Okay. Artificial food colorants, specifically red and yellow dyes, are in a tremendous amount of foods available on the market today. The dyes can be found in candies, chips, drinks, and even medications like antibiotics and chewable tablets. Well, you saw the list for yourself. Restaurants use food dye coloring in many of their dishes, and one of the most popular dye is Red 40. Each food dye alone has been approved by the FDA, but manufacturers do not always use the dye alone. They combine dyes to get specific colors. The FDA has not tested food dye combination. Now, this is very important now. It says, the common dye, Red 40. Patients tend to have higher sensitivity towards Red 40, which has been linked to seizures. Well, I got to do a video on seizures because I have personal experience with that. Hyperactivity, ADHD in children, lack of focus, and possibly carcinogenic attributes. Although deemed safe for human consumption by the FDA, this does not take into account the possible effects from ingesting a combination of different dyes from various food sources. Livingstrong.com reported that combining food dye yellow 4 and blue 1 to make green actually reduces the brain cell generation in animals. The most common food coloring including Red 40, Red 2, Yellow 4, Yellow 5, Blue 1, and Brilliant Blue FCF. These chemical additives can overwhelm the central nervous system. So in short, man, what they're telling you, tips to help with food coloring. Always check labels and avoid processed foods and soda, which I know can be hard, but just do your best. This is the part of the video that I know a lot of you guys are going to get your feelings hurt. So if you don't like hearing truth, or you have a weak and fragile ego, I suggest you stop the video now. I appreciate you for watching it this long, and I will check you in the next video. Much love and respect. No hard feelings. Everything is straight. We all good. Okay? Don't say I didn't warn you. Let's go, shall we? This information is coming straight directly from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Drugs that may cause cancer. I like how they put that may. Well, it should come to no one's surprise that cigarette smoking causes cancer, right? The overall rates of death from cancer are twice as high among smokers as non-smokers, with heavy smokers having rates that are 4 times greater than those of non-smokers. Wow, 4 times greater. Foremost among the cancer caused by tobacco use is lung cancer, which is cigarette smoking. It says cigarette smoking has been linked to about 90% of all cases of lung cancer. 90%? And you guys still want to smoke? I know. You got to die of something. I assure you, you don't want to die of lung cancer or any type of cancer. But did you know that smoking is associated with cancers of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, stomach, pancreas, cervix, kidneys, bladder, and acute myeloid leukemia, which is blood cancer? Did you know that? Next up, we have steroids. Did you know that not only does it cause infertility, breast development, shrinking of the testicles, male pattern baldness in both men and women, excessive growth of body hair, enlargement of the clitoris, but did you also know that steroids can cause liver cancer? I know they don't put that in the bottles, right? I know. But it can also cause you to have a heart attack and high blood pressure. Prescription drug side effects. Did you know that each year about 4.5 million Americans visit their doctor's office or the emergency room because of adverse prescription drug side effects? A startling 2 million other patients who are already hospitalized suffer the ill effects of prescription medications annually. And this all happens when they're under the watchful eye of medical professionals. Well, I know what you're saying. That's a lot of people. I know. Why don't they warn people about it? Well, all kinds of medications, from those that are considered all natural to those that are chemically produced in laboratories, carry some sort of after effect. Even though prescription drugs are supposed to undergo stringent testing and clinical trials, federal drug regulators allow a level of side effects. Why would they do that? In addition, most side effects vary from person to person. Of course, we're all different, depending on the dose, the patient's disease, age, weight, gender, ethnicity, and overall health, which is true. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, which oversees all new drugs applications, depends on clinical trials conducted by the drug companies to determine the drug's therapeutical advantages and disadvantages. Wait a minute, did I read that correctly? Let's read it again, shall we? The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, which oversees all new drug applications, depends on clinical trials conducted by the drug companies to determine the drug's therapeutical advantages and disadvantages. Once a drug is on the market, the FDA's post-market surveillance program called MedWatch comes into play. This voluntary program allows healthcare professionals to report the adverse effects they see in patients taking the drug. In addition, drug companies are expected to report problems. Unfortunately, it's a system that is ripe for abuse. Well, I'm glad you guys point that out, because anytime you have a system that's voluntary, you're gonna have abuse. That brings to mind of a book that I partially read at the customer's house. I didn't read the whole thing. I just read a couple pages out the book back when I was a cable technician, called 100 Million Guinea Pigs. And I wish I could find a book to purchase it myself, but when you do find it, the price is so high you can't even afford it. It's out of my price range. That's right, you're seeing $2,000. If you have the book, don't sell it. If you can find it for a reasonable price, I would suggest you purchase that book. We now return to our feature presentation. Serious side effects. In addition to common side effects, many drugs cause dangerous side effects. If a drug has numerous problems, the FDA can add warning to the drug label, including its stringent black box warning. In rare cases, the drug is recalled or removed from the market. That's right, death. From deadly cancer to fatal heart attacks, some prescription drugs have been known to cause either slow or immediate death. Wait a minute, aren't these legal? You see, I told you before, your body doesn't know the difference between legal and illegal drugs. That's a man-made concept. The universal concept is your body is going to fight against these drugs either which way, whether it's legal or illegal. Your body doesn't know the difference. That's a man-made construct. All right. Sometimes prescription drugs such as penicillin stimulate allergic reactions that cause anything from itching to an anaphylactic response, which can lead to death. In other cases, a drug can cause a deadly heart attack or a stroke. Did you know that? Which has been seen in patients who take type 2 diabetes drugs, Avandia or Actos. So imagine you taking something for your diabetes and you end up with a stroke or a heart attack. I guess I'll take my chances with the diabetes without the drugs. I'm just saying, that's just my thought. Other drugs may cause patients to do things they wouldn't ordinarily consider, including suicide. Such drugs as Accutane and other antidepressants has been linked to suicidal thoughts or actions. Story time! I remember back when I was working in the same cable company, which I don't work for anymore, but I was in a wreck. Somebody hit me, I was in the right. But even though I had to go to the doctor, so that was making it, I'm trying to condense the story, that was making it hard for me to go to the doctor and stuff. And I couldn't understand why, because I was the kind of employee who was there all the time. I was actually the kind of employee that actually believed when they said we, they actually meant we. But I've since realized when they say we, they actually mean them, not we. So I always say the company. I never say my company I work for. I say the company. But nevertheless, after a period of time, I was so depressed that I had to go see a psychiatrist, and they gave me some kind of antidepressants. And anybody that knows me know I don't take no drugs at all. So went home and did my research, and well, before that, the guy who gave me the prescription drug, the psychiatrist, He told me, well, you got to be careful when you take this drug because it has a 5-day loading period and you just can't stop taking it. That's red flag number one. I said, okay, no problem. So he said also, it just has some other side effects, but it's nothing to really be concerned about. I said, red flag number two. I went home and did my own research. I said, wait a minute, this thing can cause you to have suicidal tendencies. I said, wait, it's bad enough I'm depressed. You're going to give me something that have that maybe cause me to have suicidal tendencies. So you know what I did. I took my chance without the medication. Needless to tell you, I'm fine. That was about 12 years ago. Wow, time goes by. Yeah, 12 years ago. I'm good. So I'm just giving you that quick story. That was a really condensed version of the story. All right, moving on. I know we're talking about cancer, but I'm going to give you a little bonus material. Heart conditions. Some problems sometimes related to the heart, including heart attacks, congestive heart failure, long life heart damage, and cardiomyopathy, have been linked to many prescription drugs. Sometimes the drug causes an increase in water weight gain, which causes heart failure or heart attack. Such is the case with Avandia and its sister drug Octos. Other drugs, including the painkiller Celbrix, have been proven to do so. Yes, cancer. Probably one of the most shocking and overwhelming side effects of prescription drugs is cancer. Perhaps that's because most people spend their lives avoiding known carcinogens such as cigarette smoking. When patients learn that their prescription drugs can be carcinogenic, they feel angry and misled. One of the most shocking medications cancer connections came when tamoxifen, a drug used to treat breast cancer, was found to increase the risk of uterine cancer. In addition, Octos, a drug that is supposed to alleviate diabetes symptoms, is linked to an 80% increased risk of bladder cancer in those taking the drug 2 years or longer. Okay, what you've been watching in the background is a list of drugs that the FDA recalled. So I stopped right here in this one called Bextra, because remember I told you guys what the accident I was in, the same accident I was working at a cable company and I was so depressed. Well, I said I didn't take prescription drugs. That's not 100% accurate. I took one of these pills called Bextra, just one, because I was in such pain because the accident I was referring to, somebody T-boned me, so the hit the right side of the truck, which is the passenger side, pushed me through a wall, crushed the front of the truck. So the right side was crushed, the front of the truck was crushed. So I was in excruciating pain. So I said, man, against my better judgment, I took one pill, one of these pills, Bextra pills. Man, let me tell you something. My eyebrows, I had no clue that I could swell up. Man, I looked like I was in a fight with Mike Tyson just from one pill. I said, never again will I take any prescription medication. That was back in 2000. I took the drug back in 2002. So look at the lifespan from 2001 to 2005. Look at the side effects though. Serious cardiovascular adverse events like death or stroke, increased risk or serious skin reaction like toxic epidural. I mean, look at the symptoms. So imagine for a second, gastrointestinal bleeding. So imagine if I took this drug the way I was supposed to take it, or the way how the doctor recommended me take this drug. I probably would have already been gone out of here already, or either on my way out right now. You see, that would have damaged my heart or some other part of my body. This is a good thing I decided not to take this stuff anymore. So the doctor he went ahead and prescribed me one. After I got back to him and told him I couldn't take it, he went ahead and prescribed me Vioxx. I'm gonna talk about that later on because it's in the video, it's in the recall as well. But a lot of us don't, when we think of the term medical practitioner, a lot of times you guys don't look at the root word of practitioner. What is a practitioner? A person engaged in the practice of a profession, occupation, etc. A person who practices something specified. What are they practicing? Medicine. Who are they practicing medicine on? You. But you really don't connect the dots. So you hear something, someone says, I'm a medical practitioner, or I practice medicine at XYZ location. You also ask the doctor, where is your practice located? And you say it, but you still don't understand it. You ask them where is their practice, which means they have not mastered medicine yet. They're still practicing medicine. Like the book stated, 100 million guinea pigs. We are all guinea pigs, and we really don't see it. So when these doctors tell you things, you take them on because they have authority. I'm a doctor. I went to medical school. That doesn't mean anything to me. Let me tell you something. I know my body better than any doctor. Period. Like you guys say, that's a fact. I built my body from the time I was born, and guess what? I'm gonna build my body when I die. Can any doctor match that? I'll wait for an answer. All right. Going on the list, you can see many drugs that were actually recalled, but they were once approved. But yet they were recalled because the clinical trials, because it's a voluntary system. This is what I was trying to show you. If you have a voluntary system, well, it's gonna be prone for abuse. So I read all that stuff before to bring you to this point here, and it gets a lot deeper than this. So if you hang on to the end with me. We're almost done. But when we're nearing the end, I'll admit that it's probably gonna get a bit rough for some of you guys. Get a bit frustrated, maybe. You might be angry at some of the things I'm gonna say. But I'm not your enemy, trust me. I'm trying to point out something to you. But here is Vioxx. Now imagine if I actually took this thing. I never took one pill of this thing. After what happened to me with Bextra, I said I'm never taking no more prescription medication. But look at this thing. Increased risk of heart attack and stroke linked to about 27,785 heart attacks or sudden cardiac deaths between May 20th, 1999 and 2003. 27,000 heart attacks or sudden cardiac deaths. Now I'm just going to touch on some of this information now. Oxybenzone. This is one of the most troublesome ingredients found in the majority of sunscreens. Its primary function is to absorb ultraviolet light. However, oxybenzone is also believed to cause hormonal disruptions and cell damage that may provoke cancer, according to the EWG. Now imagine you taking this to avoid getting skin cancer, or yet you end up with cancer anyway, because it may, according to this article, provoke cancer. And you have other ingredients along the way, but the one I'm going to really focus on is the fragrance, because a lot of us don't really understand what really goes on when you actually use these fragrances, these synthetic fragrances. I mean, your colognes, your perfumes, your scented body sprays, your scented soap, your scented lotions. What else? You spray when you spray out the bathroom, because the bathroom might be stink. Also, those Glade plugins, those are all synthetic fragrances as well. And also, you got synthetic flavoring, but that's something totally different. But that synthetic, it's in a lot more products than you believe, and it's very, very, very harmful. A 1985 report by the National Academy of Sciences noted that 95% of all chemicals used in synthetic fragrances are derived from petroleum, crude oil, and include benzene derivatives, which we already know because I covered it before, is a carcinogen, and many other toxic chemicals linked to cancer, birth defects, central nervous system disorders, and allergic reactions. A 2001 study by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, found that synthetic fragrances were often shown to contain hormone disruptors linked to abnormal cell reproduction. So I have to ask a question. If the EPA studied this back in 2001, and they found this, these are their findings now, not mine, that was found to show that they cause hormonal disruptions linked to abnormal cell reproduction, which is code word for cancer. Why is it still allowed to be in these products? I'm asking a question to you guys. I know the answer, but I'm asking you guys. Because I know some of y'all are getting mad. Oh, Lord, we can't wear the perfume. We can't wear our colognes. We can't wear my body sprays and lip balms, or anything that has a fragrance. Anything that has you really believe that that's real cherries you're smelling, or real vanilla? That's synthetic. It costs too much to use it in the product, so they have to make it in a lab. It's much cheaper.
You are going to die.
Now the journey is going to get extremely bumpy, so for those of you who can't stand truth, who don't like hearing it, who refuse to embrace the truth, well, I'm going to help you out along the way. So, I appreciate you guys. Subscribe, rate, comment. So until next time, love and respect, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, I think they should be getting comfortable right about now and getting ready to doze off. So for those of you that choose to remain and who are not afraid to embrace the truth, as I said before, it's going to get extremely bumpy. But you made it this far, so you might as well stick it out to the end. So let's finish this journey together. Well, it's time to jump in the driver's seat, buckle up, and let's get this show on the road. According to the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, leading causes of death. Well, we have out in front, we have heart disease with 614,000, cancer close behind with 591,000. Then we have chronic lower respiratory disease with a distant third. Accidents is going to be in fourth place with 136,000. Strokes is going to be with 133,000. Following close behind that, we have Alzheimer's disease with 93,000. Diabetes is going to be 76,000. Influenza and pneumonia is going to be 55,000. Then we have the one neurosis, the neurosis, I'm not for sure how you pronounce that. It's going to be at 48,000. Unintentional, well, I'll take that back. It's going to be intentional self-harm is going to be at 42,000. But where is homicides? Where is homicide? We got blood poisoning at 11, liver disease at 12, hypertension, renal, which could also be high blood pressure, is going to be at 13, Parkinson's at 14. But hold on, folks, we have 15. We have homicides. At 15. Holding close at 15. What we going to do? So we're talking about homicides. That's all we want to speak on is homicides. You know, the boys in blue killing down the brothers in the street. The boys in blue killing down the brothers in the street. We have homicides holding tight at 15, bringing up the rear at 15, trailing way behind heart disease and cancer. What we gonna do? We gonna have any outrage about the cancer that's killing us, or the heart disease, or the chronic lower respiratory disease? No, we're holding steady at 15. All we want to focus on is the homicides. Don't pay no mind to the blood poisonings or the suicides, no, or the diabetes that's holding strong at number 7. No, we're going to pay attention to the homicides at number 15. Well, I just told you that heart disease at number 1 is 614,000. Cancer is trailing close behind with 591,000, but we're going to focus on the number 15 cause of death, homicides. Oh yes, I tell you, something must be wrong with our thinking. We must have a pattern on stupidity. That's what I think we do, because we're going to focus on homicides only. Am I telling you not to focus on anything else? Of course not. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you, hey, homicides is not the leading cause of killers in the United States. But I understand your outrage. Am I telling you to ignore the fact that you've been gunned down the street? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying look at the bigger killer. We got heart disease holding fast at number 1. Cancer is close behind, and close behind that we got the lower respiratory disease. I don't hear no outrage in the street about that, but as the video go on, I'm gonna show you that this list is a little bit wrong, because they have an actual number 1. So when the actual number 1 is gonna move heart disease to number 2, and then your homicides is gonna be number 16. But I know by the time I get to that part in the video, you're gonna really be in your feelings, because I'm coming on strong. I told you it was gonna be a bumpy ride, so strap on in, because I said it before and I say it again. I tell the truth. The data doesn't lie. You can talk all you want, but I prove my point with facts. Oh no, with all the talk we heard about homicides in Detroit and Chicago, we would assume they would have been the number 1 and 2 positions. But oh no, out of nowhere, who do we see? The District of Columbia with a lead like Seattle slew. Coming in second, we have Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, South Carolina, Missouri, New Mexico, Maryland, Delaware, and Oklahoma. We have Georgia, Nevada, and Michigan. Oh no, we have Michigan at number 14 with Illinois at number 15. So all the talk we heard about homicides, you would assume they would have had the number 1 and 2 positions, but oh no, they're holding number 14 and 15 respectively, ladies and gentlemen. So you gotta put the stuff into perspective. Don't let the media beat you with information. Do your own research. District of Columbia is way out there with a lead like Seattle's sloop. Am I telling you not to focus on Detroit and Chicago? Of course not, But I'm saying look at all the lives in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. Ain't nobody outraging that, huh? Those lives don't matter. Aren't there a lot of color folks out there in Mississippi and in Louisiana, in Alabama, Arkansas, and South Carolina? Why you ain't outraged about that, Just focusing just Michigan and Chicago. Just want to focus in Illinois and Michigan. Don't want to focus nowhere else, huh? I got you. Got that old selective rage going, huh? That rage going. You want to be selective about that rage. I know it. Believe me, I know it. The District of Columbia, like I said before, the District of Columbia got a lead like Seattle School. Ain't nobody up in arms about that now. But Louisiana's right there, number 2, and Mississippi right behind it. Ain't nobody complaining about that. But you just say, keep your eyes on Detroit. Keep your eyes on Detroit. And you got to keep a close eye on that Chicago as well, because you know a lot of us being gunned down there. But what happened about the lives up there in Georgia? Because Georgia's way ahead, according to this data, way ahead of Chicago. South Carolina's way ahead of Detroit. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that now. So you got that old selective rage going. I understand. We want to have that selective rage. We don't want to see the data. That's what it is. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Wait a minute. Somebody must have put something in it. We have a new front runner. According to the data in 2013, there were 664,000 legal induced abortions. That's right. 664,000, which means we have a new front runner. That means heart disease goes on to number 2 and cancer is going to be number 3. According to the data, it says abortions were reported by the CDC from 49 reporting areas. The abortion rate for 2013 was 12.5 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. And the abortion ratio was 200 abortions per 1,000 live births. But hold on, it gets worse. Compared with 2012, the total rate and ratio of reported abortions for 2013 decreased. That's right, decreased by 5%. So we can really estimate that it was closer to 700,000 at one point per year. Additionally, from 2014 to 2013, the number, rate, and ratio of reported abortion decreased 20%. Oh my God, that's astonishing. It decreased 20%, 21%, and 17% respectively in 2013. All 3 measures reached their lowest levels for the entire period of the analysis, 2004 to 2013. What does that tell you if it decreased that much, 20%? So it was safe to say it was almost close to 1 million. I don't hear no outcries about that. I know. It ain't just African Americans. I'm well aware of that fact. But according to this data, abortions are the real number 1 killer. Now I know you're getting antsy, you're getting hot. You really want to strangle me now, but you can't lie to yourself any longer. Well, you could if you want to be delusional. You can get mad at me all you want. The data is there. I didn't write this stuff. I don't work for the CDC. If they're hiring, damn it, you're looking for somebody, hit me up. Because the data doesn't lie. All right, changing gears for a second. What does abortion have to do with cancer? Not a damn thing. Why is it in the video? Well, you know me, I put in bonus material. So with that being said, let's move forward Do you know how much money cancer generates a year? Take a guess. Let's start at 500 million. No, it's more than that. Let's go to maybe 700 million. No. 800 million. No. A billion? Nah. 20 billion? Nah. 50 billion? Nah. Global cancer spending reaches 100 billion with a B. Global cancer spending all over the world. So, just letting you know that this disease generates a lot of revenue, creates a lot of jobs. I mean, we have to be honest about it. That's what it is. It creates a lot of jobs. If a cure was found today, a lot of people would be out of a job. That's the reality. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not no conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you what it is. A lot of people will be out of a job. Why is this topic important to me? Well, I've lost 5 people in my life from cancer. I'll start with the first one. I lost my grandfather to prostate cancer. He had prostate cancer and Alzheimer's disease. What a deadly combination. He died in 2001. Shortly after that, my grandmother, breast cancer. Fast forward many years to about 2013. I had an uncle died of prostate cancer October 22nd, but before he died, that was a troubling year for me in 2013 because I was laid off from a company I was working for 6 years on September 5th, 2013. So right after I got laid off, he died. Fast forward again to March of 2014. I lost another uncle, prostate cancer. And this is the reason why I couldn't make this video just yet, because the person I'm going to refer to, well, I'm going to mention, is very important. Still very important. The person I used to take counsel with and ask advice even when I didn't want to hear that advice. I would ask for it. And this person was truly a selfless person. They would give you their last. They were very, very, very special to me. And on October 12th, 2014, 10:19 p.m., my mother died from breast cancer. So I am not without empathy. I am not making a mockery out of anyone. I feel your pain, and as people say, time heals all wounds. That's not true. It never heals the wound. You just learn how to live with it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.